This river has a very special place in my heart because it's the reason why I became a freshwater ecologist. So when I was a child, this was the first river I encountered.
Well, to me, it started off as a place where I could go fishing. I've always been interested in fishing. I've always been interested in chalk streams. It started that way, and then I realised it was under threat and found that there were many other people that felt that way.
Chalk streams are important to England because we have the majority of the world's resource. There are about 260 in the entire world, and 225 of them are found only in England.
And in the Chilterns and the surrounding southeast, the significant proportion are there.
I don't think we appreciate, certainly in the east of England, how important they are because we see so many of them.
They are beautiful rivers. They are clear, fast flowing, spring-fed rivers, and they have a shallow sort of gravel bed.
They supply an excellent quality of water, which is fantastic for various different plants, animals, wildlife of all different sorts. Some of them unique just to that ecosystem.
It might seem quite surprising to think of the southeast of England being dry or the Chilterns being dry, but there is less water available than in some of the much more sort of what we would consider more arid parts of the world, like Morocco, for example, and parts of Australia.
Obviously, the crystal clear water is one of the things that most people associate with a chalk stream, which sometimes is difficult to understand. But when you're standing somewhere like we are today, when there's no water in what should be a flowing chalk stream, that gives you the idea of the strength of the problem.
They are a varied condition, but mostly, certainly in the southeast of England, they're under stress.
And of course, that's where most of the pressures are. We've got housing pressure, population pressure, climate change too.
Chalk streams have been used by man for thousands of years because of these wonderful characteristics that they have. Because the aquifer is so heavily exploited for public and supply and for business, you've created a scenario where the whole system is stressed.
If there's no water, then we're not going to see a kingfisher fly past here today. We're not going to see any ducks. There aren't any water voles. We haven't got any otters. We don't get any swans because there's no water. All those things have gone missing, and they've all gone missing in the last 50 years.
Why are only 12 out of 225 chalk streams protected? There is resistance to wanting to protect more from government. It's difficult to say why, because if they were limestone pavements, for example, which is is a special habitat, every limestone pavement is an SAC, a special area of conservation. Why are chalk streams not all special areas of conservation?
We have a number of problematic invasive species on the chest. The ones that we deal with are North American mink. They were introduced into this country for fur farming, and they spread rapidly. They found a lot of prey animals such as water voles that were easy to hunt. Mink are much smaller than otters, and they'll find their way into a burrow and they will decimate the population. Possibly the most vicious animal I've ever come across at close quarters.
American signal crayfish, escapees from the restaurant trade probably 30 years ago. They're prolific, and we've lost our native crayfish.
There are a wide range of plants that impact rivers.
We have a few stands of giant hogweed in the lower river. If the sap touches your skin, it makes it much more sensitive to sunlight for a number of years, so you get big pustular blisters on your skin, which are pretty horrible.
Himalayan balsam, for example, which was brought over by Victorian horticulturalists originally, and they spread very quickly because their seeds spread via what's known as ballistic dispersal. Another name for the plant is touch-me-not. If you touch the seed pods, they literally explode.
It tends to cover the bank and smothers the native wildlife, the native plants, and in winter it dies back and leaves a bare bank, which is subject to erosion more quickly.
Another plant species that is particularly prevalent on rivers in this area is Japanese knotweed. It's particularly tenacious. It can be spread around very easily by people strimming it, for example.
The River Chess is one of a number of rivers in the Chilterns. I would say that the River Chess is probably one that functions better than most. It's the jewel in the crown of the Chilterns as far as chalk streams are concerned. But I think what you have to understand is that the Chiltern chalk streams are probably the most highly impacted of all chalk stream groups in the country.
Now, you don't notice a quarter of an inch or a centimetre off the river flow today, and you do that over 40 years, and all of a sudden, more often than not, the river's at an unsustainably low level. It's got no resilience. But unfortunately, until the river disappears and dries up, most of the general citizens don't notice. So it's kind of like for guys like us who are out on the river every day to say, hey, hang on a minute, something here's wrong.
Lots of ways that people can get involved. One of the best ways they can get involved is to join their local river group. Great organisations who do a huge amount for their river, and you can learn a lot about what you can do. It might be as hands-on as getting in and helping with river restoration projects.
Lobbying government, writing letters to your MPs is one of the ways to do it. So talking about reducing abstraction in this particular area will be a big help. We also have a lot of monitoring activities that we do. We monitor river fly life. Every 2 years we monitor the water vole population.
Or it could be just walking your patch of river. Reporting pollution incidents is a really important one.
And all of these things require volunteers. My children and my grandchildren and future generations have an opportunity to spend time and enjoy these beautiful rivers because they are stunning. When they are at their best, they are absolutely beautiful and will give you memories throughout your life.